It is a Tuesday, January 2025. We thank you for tuning in to Uctv News. My name is Nora Sender to bring you the bulletin this evening. Tonight we're starting our newscast with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Norbert Mao, that has expressed plans to engage President Museveni regarding his recent directive to ban police bonds and restrict court bails. Now, in his New Year address, President Yoweri Museveni called for the end to granting police bonds and curtailing court bails. However, while addressing the media today at the Democratic Party headquarters, Norbert Mao described the directive as President Museveni's personal views, emphasizing that police bonds and court bails are enshrined in the Constitution and must be held.
First, let me state the obvious. Laws are not suggestions. Laws demand total compliance. But I do not know what the general interpretation has been, or whether anybody has applied for bond and has been denied, because it is you, the journalists, to really see. What I understood from the president's speech, I think the president was lamenting. The president was lamenting about our broken system, where you accuse somebody of an offense before you reach home, assuming the person is your neighbor. He is already there in his own compound, laughing at you. Now, I want you to go back to the oath of the president. The oath of the president says he has got to promote the welfare of the citizens of Uganda. Now, you, as a journalist, or as a person, Mao, who is your neighbor, commits a crime, cuts down your banana plantation, breaks your wall, and you report him for malicious damage to property, and you leave him at the police. Maybe because you are walking back home, before you reach, you hear that he's already back home. What would you think? So, the president was lamenting the lack of clear judgment, in my opinion, of those who make decisions about these crimes. So I think he used that platform to lament. I don't think the president can amend the law by a pronouncement. But those who implement the law are letting down the law. You heard how he talked about these Bijambia people in Masaka. You heard about the Karachunas, these people who were terrorizing Karamoja. Karamoja was impossible. There was no tourism. So, if you are seated where you are sitting, perhaps you talk like that. Now, as Minister of Justice and as a lawyer, I can tell you that, because you asked me, is it right? He has expressed his opinion. But the law empowers police officers to give police bond. And they must act within the law. It is my duty as Minister of Justice to advise the president. A minister is not the one who is elected president. So he shares a bit of his powers given by the people to ministers, a number of ministers.
Talked about the bonds and bail.
And as far as bail is concerned, bail is part of the right to a fair trial. Because when you get bail, then you go and organize how to defend yourself. Because if you are in prison, you may fail to organize your own defense. Fortunately, it is possible to correct these things. But I want you people to also help me and do some research. Go to the police stations and ask, are you people giving bond? And which cases are cases for bond? Many times, people report cases in the police to harass people. I'm on police bond myself.
Since 2000 what?
During the Tojikwata Ko, I was arrested and taken to Kira police station. And I was given a police bond. And I went there over 20 times reporting. Because when you are given a police bond, it is believed that your file is being processed. But because of the congestion and so on, okay, I hadn't stolen anything. Mine was, I was accused of illegal assembly and inciting violence and such offenses. So I reported to Kira Road Police Station over 20 times. And then I told my lawyer that, do you really think I should continue going? Then he said, if you don't go, perhaps they'll arrest you. So I'm still waiting to be collected. So I think really, perhaps those who are being given bond are people who shouldn't even be the police in the first place. Then secondly, sometimes they use criminal law on civil matters. Somebody reports you to the police on a civil matter. So I am here on a police bond.
Now, with only a day before Uganda hosts the Africa Union Extraordinary Summit, known as the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Programs, CADP, Ugandans have been encouraged to support the event and capitalize on the business opportunities it offers, especially in the accommodation sector. This call has been made during a joint media briefing in Kampala, featuring Commissioner for Crop Protection Stephen Tebeyuka and David Waiteka, the Country Director for AGRA, who emphasized the potential economic benefits of the summit.
Most of the accommodation for the over 2,000 delegates, including excellencies, the heads of governments and the presidents, they are going to be hosted in Kampala. Are they going to carry food with them? No, it is our food that has been sourced from the market, from our farms, that is going to be consumed. Another benefit is that the people who have visited, they are not going away without visiting some of our places. Tourism. Already, as we sat here, ladies and gentlemen, we were informed that one of the honorable ministers has communicated that he would like to visit some of our livestock farms. And after that visit, more engagements will be made so that either we transfer the genetics or we get investors to come and invest in the livestock industry and the other areas that the visitors will deem fit. So Uganda as a country, as a part of Africa, there is a lot to benefit when we host such engagements.
You recognize that when the National Development Plan was designed, we have done the midterm review. Then the NDP3 is about to end. We are also contributing towards an evaluation of NDP3, National Development Plan 3. In doing so, we hold ourselves accountable to what worked and what didn't work in the last National Development Plan. And therefore, when we are allocating resources, or when we now go in the design of the National Development Plan 4, how do we ensure that areas that were not successfully delivered have the right investment moving forward?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a project. As I highlighted earlier, the heads of state of the African Union sat together and said, how do we address issues related to food security, to production and productivity, inter-Africa trade, resilience to climate shocks, and the like, and agreed on a strategy and roadmap. And this was in 2003.
Now, civil society organizations have urged the government to adopt a comprehensive approach that's to revitalize Uganda's agriculture sector. They stressed the importance of sustainable farming practices that tackle environmental and socioeconomic challenges while ensuring long-term food security. Speaking at a press briefing held at CNTini offices in Bukoto, the organizations highlighted the need for transparency that's in addressing issues related to agrochemical use, ensuring that small farmers are not marginalized in the process. Agriculture remains the backbone of Uganda's economy, employing about 70% of the population, most of whom rely on subsistence farming. The sector contributes 24% of Uganda's GDP and serves as a vital source of food, raw materials, and foreign exchange. But despite its importance, agriculture in Uganda is facing serious challenges, especially due to the growing use of pesticides. Pesticides are causing health risks, environmental damage, and economic losses. Globally, the World Health Organization estimates 385 million cases of unintentional pesticide poisoning every year, with 11,000 deaths, most occurring in low and middle-income countries.
According to UNICEF, pregnant and breastfeeding mothers, children under the age of 5, and elderly are more vulnerable to the effects of pesticides. For example, if exposed to aerial sprayed pesticides, children will inhale double the amount of an average adult. On the same note, due to the small size of liver and kidney, the same chemical is likely to be 10 times more toxic to a child than to an adult.
In Uganda, civil society organizations have raised concerns about the rising use of highly hazardous pesticides. They urge that these chemicals not only threaten human health and biodiversity, but also burdens small-scale farmers with high costs of productivity losses. Alarmingly, counterfeit agrochemicals make up about 40% of the market, leading to significant financial losses.
Pesticides are indispensable to modern agriculture, to climate change mitigation, or to food security. This narrative is driven more by commercial and profiteering interests rather than by evidence and goodwill for smallholder farmers.
Smallholder farmers who till the land and who produce the food for this country have been left to no one to guide them on what to do. And you find that today, smallholder farmers use these chemicals as though they are using airtime of those days, where you say, give me a card of 500 shillings. You just scratch it and put the airtime in your phone. That is what is taking place today. Nobody is telling the farmer what to use and what type of soil, on what type of crops, and after what period of time they should harvest or they should use these products from their garden.
The misuse of pesticides also contributes to soil degradation, water pollution, and biodiversity loss, all of which make Uganda's agriculture even more vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. These are now emphasizing that sustainable agroecology farming practices are the solution to these challenges. They protect human health, safeguard biodiversity, and reduce reliance on harmful chemicals.
Hereby recommend the following. 1. The Agricultural Chemicals Control Bill. Board. The Agricultural Chemicals Control Board, under the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, should expedite its work and profile the various agrochemicals, herbicides, and inputs, and their various sources that are available on the market in Uganda. 2. Government should ban the importation of highly hazardous pesticides. 3. Government, through the Department of Crop Inspection and Certification at the Ministry of Agriculture, should strengthen the regulation, management, use, handling, storage, and trade of agrochemicals in Uganda.
as Uganda prepares to host the extraordinary summit of the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, KADP. Experts are urging leaders to adopt agroecology as a core strategy. This approach could improve the soil health, strengthen local food systems, and enhance resilience against climate crises. Nora Osende for UCTV News. Now, the daughters of St. Teresa of the Child of Jesus, commonly known as the Banya Teresa Sisters, gathered at Virika Mother House in Fort Portal Catholic Diocese, thus to celebrate their perpetual vows and jubilee milestones. The Right Reverend Robert Muhira, the Bishop of Fort Portal Diocese, who was the main celebrant accompanied by other distinguished clergy, delivered a message emphasizing the theme of walking in hope, or pilgrims of hope, during this very year. It was a joyful celebration as the daughters of Banya Teresa Sisters take their perpetual vows and their jubilee celebrations at Virika Mother House, Fort Portal Catholic Diocese. The main celebrant, the Right Reverend Robert Muhira Akiki, the Bishop of Fort Portal Diocese, was joined by the Archbishop of Mbara Diocese, His Grace Lambert Banyomgesha Adieri, and Right Reverend Vincent Chirabo Amoti, the Bishop of Hoima Diocese. In attendance were the priests from the Fort Portal Diocese and other dioceses. 2 sisters celebrated 70 years, 2 other sisters celebrated 60 years, 4 sisters 50 years, 9 sisters 25 years, and 8 took their perpetual vows.
Nkwasire ha kitabu kinu ekirukwera nindagana oburukwera abwo bukama bwa ruhanga.
The main celebrant of the Holy Mass, the Right Reverend Bishop Robert Muhira Akiki, the Bishop of Fort Portal Diocese, called upon the faithful to walk as pilgrims of hope during this Jubilee year. Bishop Muhira reminded everyone present that the Jubilee year is a time for renewal, both spiritually and communally.
I've urged them to follow the example of Samuel, who was helped by Eli to respond positively to the Lord's call. I've urged them to be faithful to the 3 vows of obedience, chastity, and poverty, and have indicated that to be able to live those successfully, they need to have a life of deep prayer, to be at the feet of Jesus like Mary that we have heard in the gospel, and like Martha, who was disturbed by her sisters. They're sitting there almost idle, but the Lord showed that Mary had chosen the better part.
Bishop Muhira also called upon sisters to remain obedient to their vows through a life deeply rooted in prayer. He highlighted prayer as a foundation of their vocation, enabling them to overcome challenges and remain steadfast in their commitment to serve God and humanity.
Some of us may be caught up in the different sins. Let us strive for a life of renewal, repentance, and striving to receive the Lord more worthily in the Eucharist as we receive the sacrament of penance during this time of this year, so that we're able to obtain indulgences. We pray in the session of Mother Mary and St. Teresa that these things will become a reality in our lives.
The jubilarians and the newly professed sisters were encouraged to remain steadfast in their spiritual journey and continue being a light to the world through their dedicated service. Let's now take a look at today in history. And that marks the end of our news bulletin this evening. It has been nice having you. We'll see you soon. My name is Nora Sende from the entire team behind the scenes, and we wish you a lovely evening. Take care.